The first thing felt was cold. It was the kind of cold that went deep into the bones, the kind that made a person want to curl up and never move again. He tried to open his eyes, but they felt heavy, like someone had put weights on them. His head was full of pain, a dull throbbing that came and went like waves on a beach. He remembered the alarm, the loud, screaming alarm that had filled his small cargo ship just before everything went wrong. He had been carrying supplies to the mining station near the border. Simple job, easy money. That was what his friend Jin had told him when he took the contract. Nothing ever goes wrong on the border runs, Jin had said. Would have laughed if his chest did not hurt so much. The debris field had come out of nowhere. His sensors had not picked it up until it was too late. Rocks and metal pieces from some old battle, floating in space like forgotten bones. His ship had tried to move, but it was too slow, too old. The first piece had hit the engine. The second had torn through the hull like paper. Remembered floating. He remembered the cold of space touching his skin before the emergency suit had covered him. He remembered thinking about his mother back on Earth, about how she would cry when she heard the news. Then there was nothing but darkness. Now there was light, soft, blue light that hurt his eyes when he finally managed to open them. He was lying on something hard but smooth. The ceiling above him was made of a material he did not recognize. It looked like metal, but it moved slightly like it was breathing. "You are awake," a voice said. Turned his head and the pain in his skull exploded. He closed his eyes and waited for it to pass. When he opened them again, he saw the speaker. She was not human. That was the first thing he noticed. Her skin was pale blue, almost white, and it seemed to shine under the soft light. She had two large eyes that were completely black like pools of oil. Her face was narrow, with sharp lines and no nose that could see. Instead, there were small slits on either side of her face that moved when she breathed. "Where am I?" asked. His voice came out rough, broken. His throat felt like sandpaper. "You are on a medical vessel," the alien said. Her voice was soft and musical, but there was something cold about it. I am the medic here. Your ship was destroyed. We found you floating in space." Tried to sit up, but his body refused to obey. He could barely lift his head. "My cargo." "Gone," said. She moved closer and could see that she was holding something in her long, thin fingers. It looked like a small tablet, covered in symbols he could not read. "Your ship is in pieces. You are lucky to be alive." Lucky did not feel lucky. He felt broken. His whole body was pain. His mind was fog. He had lost his ship, his cargo, and probably his contract. Jin would never let him forget this. "How long?" asked. "How long was I floating?" Looked at her tablet. "By your Earth measurements, approximately 6 hours. Your suit kept you alive, but only barely. When we found you, your body temperature was dangerously low. Your heart had stopped twice." Twice? His heart had stopped twice, and he was still here. Closed his eyes and let out a long breath. Maybe he was lucky after all. "I need to contact Earth," he said. "My family, they need to know I am alive." "Later," said. Her voice was firm, like a doctor who did not accept arguments. "First, I must complete your medical examination. Your species is not common in this sector. I need to make sure I understand your biology before I can treat you properly." Wanted to argue, but he was too tired. His eyes were growing heavy again, and the pain in his head was making it hard to think. He watched as moved around the room, pressing buttons on machines he did not understand and looking at screens filled with strange symbols. "You are from Earth," said. It was not a question. "Yes," answered. "Korea, South Korea." Made a noise that might have been acknowledgement. She pressed something on her tablet, and a beam of blue light passed over his body. It felt warm, almost pleasant, and for a moment the pain in his muscles faded. "I am scanning your body," explained. "Checking for damage, checking for disease, standard procedure for all rescued beings." Nodded weakly. He had heard about alien medical technology. It was supposed to be advanced, far beyond what Earth had. They could heal wounds in minutes, cure diseases that humans had fought for centuries. If anyone could fix him, it was them. The scanner hummed softly as it worked, stood perfectly still, her black eyes fixed on the tablet in her hands. The symbols on the screen changed rapidly, forming patterns that meant nothing to. He watched them anyway, finding a strange comfort in their movement. Then stopped. Her whole body went rigid, like someone had frozen her in place. Her black eyes grew wider, and the color drained from her already pale face. "This cannot be correct," she whispered. Felt a cold feeling in his stomach that had nothing to do with the temperature. What is wrong?" Did not answer. She pressed more buttons and the scanner passed over him again. Then again. Each time her expression grew more troubled. She backed away from him, still staring at the tablet like it had bitten her. "I must call my supervisor," she said. Her voice was shaking now. "Stay here, do not move." "I cannot move," pointed out, but was already gone, rushing through a door that slid open and closed behind her. Lay there in the silence, staring at the breathing ceiling, wondering what the scanner had found. He thought about his body, about all the cuts and bruises and broken things inside him. Was something wrong? Was he dying? The questions circled in his mind like hungry birds, but no answers came. Only the soft hum of alien machines and the slow, steady beat of his own heart. He was still alive. For now, that would have to be enough. Stood in the corridor outside the medical room, her hands shaking so badly that she almost dropped her tablet. She had been a medic for 15 years. She had treated hundreds of species from dozens of worlds. She had seen wounds that would make most people sick. She had watched beings die and brought others back from the edge of death. Nothing had prepared her for this. She looked at the data on her screen again, hoping that somehow it had changed. It had not. The numbers were still there, still impossible, still terrifying. The human cells were wrong, not damaged wrong, not sick wrong, wrong in a way that should not exist in nature. His immune system was not just active, it was aggressive. The white blood cells in his blood did not simply fight disease, they hunted it. They surrounded foreign material and destroyed it with a speed and violence that had only seen in military bioweapons. And that was just the beginning. His bones were dense, too dense. They were almost twice as thick as a standard galactic being of his size. The calcium content alone was enough to stop most basic projectiles. His muscles were wrapped in tissue that could repair itself at an alarming rate. His skin, which looked so soft and fragile, contained layers of material that could resist minor cuts and burns. His organs were redundant. He had 2 kidneys when one was enough for most species. His liver could regenerate if damaged. His heart was larger than necessary, pumping blood with a force that could sustain activity levels far beyond normal limits. But the thing that scared the most was his brain. The human brain was supposed to be simple. That was what all the studies said. Humans were a young species, barely out of their caves, not yet ready to join the galactic community. Their brains should be basic, limited, focused on survival and little else. His brain was not basic. It was complex in ways that could not fully understand. There were connections between areas that should not be connected. There were regions of activity that served no obvious purpose. And there was a chemical balance that suggested he could function in extreme stress without breaking down. This was not a normal being. This was a weapon. A living, breathing weapon disguised as a simple cargo pilot. Press the communication button on the wall. "Supervisor Wren, please report to Medical Bay 3 immediately. It is urgent." She waited in the corridor, packing back and forth, trying to calm her racing heart. Through the window of the medical room, she could see the human lying on the table. He looked so normal, so harmless. Just a young male with dark hair and tired eyes, broken and confused after a crash. But looks could lie, knew that better than most. Supervisor Wren arrived a few minutes later. He was tall, even for their species, with skin that was darker blue than his eyes were sharp, always watching, always calculating. He had worked in border security before becoming a medical supervisor. He knew danger when he saw it. "What is the emergency?" he asked. Handed him her tablet without a word. She watched his face as he read the data, watched his expression change from curiosity to confusion to something that looked very much like fear. "This cannot be right," he said. "I scanned him 3 times," replied. "The results are the same each time." Ren looked through the window at the human. "He is a civilian, a cargo pilot. That is what his identification says." "I know what his identification says, but look at his body. Look at his cells. That is not a civilian. That is a soldier, a weapon, something built for war." Ren was quiet for a long moment. He scrolled through the data, stopping at different points, zooming in on specific readings. His face grew darker with each passing second. "His bone density is higher than combat armor on most worlds," he said softly. "His healing factor is comparable to species that take centuries to evolve such abilities. His immune system—" He stopped, shaking his head. "His immune system is more aggressive than any bioweapon we have on record." "I know," said. "What do we do?" Ren handed the tablet back to her. "We need to inform security. If humans have developed soldiers like this, it could change everything. The balance of power in this sector, in the entire galaxy." Felt cold. She had not thought that far ahead. She had been focused on the medical mystery, on the impossible readings and the strange biology. But Ren was right. If humans could create beings like this, they were not the simple, harmless species everyone thought they were. They were dangerous. "Should we inform the human?" asked. "Tell him what we found?" "No," Ren said firmly. "Not yet. We need to understand what we are dealing with first. He might be programmed to react violently if he knows we have discovered his true nature. We cannot take that risk." Nodded, but something in her felt wrong about this. The human in the medical room did not act like a weapon. He acted like a scared young male who had almost died and wanted to call his family. He acted like someone who had no idea what was happening to him. But perhaps that was part of the design. Perhaps they had made him believe he was normal. Perhaps they had hidden the truth even from him. "I will contact security," Ren said. "Keep monitoring him. If he shows any signs of aggression, any signs at all, alert me immediately." "Understood," said. Ren walked away, already speaking into his communication device in low, urgent tones. Watched him go, then turned back to the window. The human had fallen asleep again. His chest rose and fell slowly, and his face was peaceful. He looked young, realized. So young. If he were one of her species, he would barely be considered an adult. She thought about the data again. The aggressive immune system, the dense bones, the redundant organs. All of it pointed to military engineering, to careful design and deliberate modification. But there was something else in the data, something she had almost missed. Damage. The human's body was full of old damage. Scars in his bones where they had broken and healed. Marks in his tissues where injuries had repaired themselves. Chemical traces that suggested he had been sick many times, had fought off infections and diseases that would have killed most species. This was not a body that had been protected and perfected. This was a body that had survived. A body that had been beaten and broken and had put itself back together, over and over again. Did not know what to think. The evidence said weapon, but her instincts said something else, something she could not quite name. She entered the medical room quietly and sat down in a chair near the sleeping human. She would watch him. She would wait. And when security arrived, she would tell them what she had found. But deep inside, a small part of her wondered if they were making a mistake, if this human was not what they thought he was at all. Outside the window, the stars burned cold and bright, indifferent to the small drama playing out in the medical bay of a single ship. Whatever happened next, knew that nothing would ever be quite the same. The human slept on, unaware of the storm gathering around him. Woke to the sound of voices. They were speaking in a language he did not understand, fast and sharp, like birds arguing over food. He kept his eyes closed and listened, trying to make sense of the sounds. Then a translator device activated somewhere nearby, and the words became clear. Cannot simply question him without proof. He has rights under galactic law. That was Voice, the medic who had found him. Rights are for normal beings. A new voice, deep and hard. If he is what your data suggests, he is a military asset, not a person. Different rules apply. We do not know that. We do not know anything yet. Then we will find out. The door to the medical room slid open and opened his eyes. Two figures stood in the doorway. One was, her pale face tight with worry. The other was someone new. He was different from, taller, broader, with skin that was gray instead of blue. His eyes were small and sharp, set deep in a face that looked like it had been carved from stone. He wore a uniform of some kind, dark and official, with symbols on the chest that did not recognize. I am Officer, the gray alien said. He did not smile. He did not offer his hand. He simply stood there, staring at like he was studying a dangerous animal. I am with Galactic Border Security. I have some questions for you. Tried to sit up, and this time his body obeyed. He was still weak, still sore, but the worst of the pain had faded. Whatever medicine they had given him was working. Okay, he said, I will answer what I can. Walked closer, his heavy footsteps echoing in the quiet room. He stopped at the foot of his bed and pulled out a small device. He pressed a button, and the air above the device filled with images, numbers, charts, pictures of cells and bones and organs. Cells, bones, organs. Do you know what this is? Asked. Shook his head. My medical scan. Yes, your medical scan. The medic ran it 3 times because she could not believe the results. His voice was cold, accusing. Your body is not normal, human. Your cells are not normal. Your bones are not normal. Everything about you screams military modification. Felt confusion wash over him. I do not understand. I am just a cargo pilot. I move supplies between stations. That is all I do. Then explain this. Pointed at one of the floating images. It showed cells attacking something, tearing it apart with brutal speed. Your immune system is more aggressive than anything we have on record. It attacks foreign material with the speed and power of a designed bioweapon. I do not know, said. His heart was beating faster now and he could feel sweat forming on his skin. I have never been sick often. My mother said I had a strong body, but I never thought. Your bones, continued, pointing at another image, dense enough to stop projectiles. Your muscles repair themselves faster than most species can naturally achieve. You have redundant organs, 2 kidneys, a liver that can regenerate, a heart that is oversized for your body. All humans have that, said, but even as he said it, he felt doubt creeping in. He had never thought about his body before. It was just his body. It did what bodies did. Leaned closer, his small eyes burning with intensity. Which military program created you? Which government? We know Earth has been experimenting with biological enhancement. We have reports, rumors, but we never thought they had come this far. No one created me, insisted. I was born in a hospital in Seoul. My mother was a teacher. My father was an engineer. I grew up in an apartment building with my grandmother. I went to school. I learned to fly cargo ships because the pay was good. There is no military program. There is no secret. Stared at him for a long moment. Then he turned to who had been standing silently in the corner. He is lying, or he has been programmed not to remember. Either way, we cannot trust anything he says. I am not lying, said, his voice rising. Fear was mixing with anger now, creating something hot and sharp in his chest. I do not know why my body looks strange to you. I did not ask to be scanned. I did not ask to be rescued. I just want to go home. Home? made a sound that might have been a laugh, but there was no humor in it. If what we suspect is true, we cannot let you go home. You are too dangerous. You need to be contained, studied, understood. I am not dangerous, tried to stand, but his legs gave out and he fell back onto the bed. The sudden movement made alarms on the medical machines beep loudly. Rushed forward, pressing buttons, checking readings. His heart rate is elevated, she said. Blood pressure rising. He is experiencing genuine stress response. That could be part of the programming, said. Make him seem normal, make him seem harmless, until the moment he activates and kills everyone around him. Felt sick. This could not be happening. He was nobody. He was nothing special. He was just a young man who had made bad choices and ended up floating in space. How had this become a nightmare about military weapons and secret programs? Please, he said, his voice breaking. I swear to you I do not know anything. I am not a weapon. I am just, that is all I have ever been. Studied him with those cold, sharp eyes. Could not tell what the officer was thinking. He could not tell if his words were making any difference at all. We will need to run more tests, said finally. Deep scans, memory analysis, behavioral observation. Until we understand exactly what you are, you will remain in custody. That is not fair, said. Fair has nothing to do with security. Turned and walked toward the door. Medic, you will continue to monitor him. Report any unusual activity directly to me. Understood, said quietly. Left and the door slid closed behind him with a soft hiss. Sat on the bed, his hands trembling, his mind spinning with thoughts he could not control. Approached him slowly like she was approaching a frightened animal. I am sorry, she said. I did not expect this reaction. When I saw your scan results, I thought. I do not know what I thought. Am I really that different? Asked. Is my body really so strange? Hesitated, then she nodded. Yes. By our standards, by the standards of most species in the galaxy, your body is remarkable, frightening even. I have never seen anything like it. Looked down at his hands. They looked normal to him, just hands, just skin and bone and muscle. He had used them to fly ships, to eat food, to hold his mother's hand when she was sad. They were not weapons. They were just hands. But the aliens did not see hands. They saw threats. They saw danger. They saw something that needed to be contained and studied and controlled. For the first time in his life, wondered if there was something about humans that he had never understood. Something hidden. Something that only others could see. The question circled in his mind, but no answer came. Only fear, cold and heavy, settling in his chest like a stone. 3 days passed. 3 days of tests and scans and questions that never seemed to end. 3 days of cold rooms and alien machines and the constant feeling of being watched. Had stopped counting the number of times they had scanned his body. He had stopped trying to explain that he was normal, that he was nobody, that there was no secret military program. They did not believe him. He could see it in their eyes. Every alien who came to study him looked at him the same way, with fear and suspicion and something that might have been discussed. He was lying in his bed, staring at the ceiling, when the door opened and someone new walked in. She was human. Sat up so fast that his head spun. The woman was young, maybe a few years older than him, with long black hair tied back in a simple tail. She wore clothes that looked almost normal, a white jacket over dark pants, with a small badge on her chest that showed an Earth symbol. Hello, she said in Korean. My name is. I work as a human liaison in this sector. I heard about your situation and came as quickly as I could. Felt tears forming in his eyes. He had not heard Korean from another person in days. He had not seen another human face since his ship was destroyed. The relief was so strong that it hurt. Please, he said, his voice shaking. Please tell them I am not a weapon. I am not military. I am just a cargo pilot who got into an accident. They keep saying things about my body, about my cells, but I do not understand any of it. nodded and sat down in the chair beside his bed. Her face was calm, patient, like she had done this many times before. "I know," she said. "I have seen your case file. I have seen their reports, and I think I understand what is happening." "What?" asked. "What is happening? Why do they think I am some kind of monster?" "Because to them you are." His voice was gentle but honest. "Not a monster exactly, but something they cannot understand, something that does not fit into their view of the galaxy." She pulled out a small device and pressed a button. A holographic image appeared, showing two figures side by side. One was clearly alien, thin and delicate. The other was human. "This is a comparison of basic biology," explained. "Most species in the galaxy evolved on worlds that were calm, stable. The conditions were good, the predators were few, the diseases were manageable. They did not need to fight for survival the way we did." Looked at the images, not understanding where this was going. "Earth is different," continued. "Earth is one of the most violent, dangerous worlds in the known galaxy. We have predators everywhere. We have diseases that kill millions. We have natural disasters that destroy cities. We have extreme temperatures, dangerous radiation, toxic plants and animals. Our planet has been trying to kill us since the beginning of time." She changed the image, showing a human body now. "So our bodies adapted. Over millions of years, we evolved to survive things that would destroy other species. Our immune systems became aggressive because if they were not, we would die from the smallest infection. Our bones became dense because we needed to fight, to hunt, to survive against creatures stronger and faster than us." "But that is just normal," said slowly. "Every human is like this." "Yes," agreed. "Every human is like this, and that is exactly the problem." She stood and walked to the door, pressing a button. The door opened. An officer walked in along with Supervisor Wren. They all looked tense, uncertain. "Tell them," said Tu. "Tell them about your childhood. Tell them about the times you got sick." Frowned, confused. "I got sick sometimes. Everyone does. I had fevers, coughs. Once I broke my arm when I fell from a tree, but I always got better." "How long did it take your arm to heal?" asked. "I do not know. A few weeks. The doctor said I healed fast, but that was not unusual." Turned to the aliens. "On most worlds, a broken bone takes months to heal, sometimes years. Its body fixed itself in weeks because that is what human bodies do. We did not design ourselves this way. We did not engineer ourselves. We simply survived, generation after generation, for millions of years on a world that wanted us dead." His face was tight with doubt. "You expect us to believe that an entire species naturally evolved to this level, that you are all walking weapons without any military modification." "We are not weapons," said firmly. "We are survivors. There is a difference." She pulled up more data on her device. "I have been working with galactic scientists for years, helping them understand human biology. Every time they scan a human, they see the same things you saw: dense bones, aggressive immune systems, redundant organs, fast healing. And every time they think it must be artificial, because no species should have all of these traits naturally." "But we do," said quietly, "all of us." Stepped forward, her black eyes wide with something that looked like wonder instead of fear. "The data in his cells, the patterns I saw, you are saying that is not programming, that is evolution." "Yes," said. 4 billion years of evolution on that is what made us. Not laboratories, not military programs, just time and death and the stubborn refusal to go extinct." The room was silent. Watched the aliens process this information, watched their expressions shift from suspicion to confusion to something he could not name. Understanding, maybe, or horror. "If this is true," Wren said slowly, "then every human is like him, every single one." "Yes," confirmed. "And your military forces," his voice trailed off. "Your soldiers, your warriors, what are they like?" Smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Our soldiers are humans who have been trained to use these bodies for combat. They are humans who have been pushed to their limits and beyond. They are humans who know exactly what they are capable of. She let that hang in the air for a moment. Is a cargo pilot. He has never been in a fight in his life. He does not know how to use his body as a weapon. He does not even know that his body could be a weapon. But our soldiers, they know. And they are very, very good at what they do. Looked like someone had punched him in the stomach, had gone pale. Ren was staring at like he was seeing him for the first time. Himself felt strange. All his life he had thought of himself as ordinary, weak even. He could not run as fast as his friend Jin. He could not lift as much as the workers at the spaceport. He got tired. He got hurt. He got scared. But now he was looking at a room full of aliens who were terrified of him. Not because of what he had done, but because of what he was. What all humans were. It was the strangest feeling in the world. The decision took 2 more days. 2 days of meetings and arguments and communications with higher authorities that was not allowed to hear. He spent the time in his medical room, eating strange alien food and talking with, who had become almost friendly now that she was not afraid of him. I still do not fully understand, admitted during one of their conversations. Your species lived on a world that was constantly trying to kill you. Why did you not leave? Why did you not find somewhere safer? Thought about the question. We did not have ships until recently. We were trapped on Earth. We had to survive there or die. That is horrible, said softly. Maybe shrugged. But it was also home. We loved Earth even when it was dangerous. We still do. The mountains, the oceans, the forests, even the things that could kill us were beautiful in their own way. Shook her head. Your species is very strange. I am starting to understand that. On the 3rd day, came to his room with news. Her face was tired but satisfied, like someone who had won a difficult fight. You are free to go, she said. Officer has been overruled by the Sector Council. They have decided that you are not a threat and should be released. Felt relief flood through his body. For a moment, he could not speak. He just sat there, breathing, feeling the weight of the past week finally lifting from his shoulders. Thank you, he managed to say. Thank you for helping me. I was just doing my job, sat down beside him. But I should warn you, your release comes with conditions. The galactic community is now very interested in humans, very interested and very worried. There will be more attention on your species from now on, more study, more observation. What does that mean for me? For you specifically, probably nothing. You will go home, file an insurance claim for your lost ship and find a new job. Your life will continue as normal. Paused. But for humanity as a whole, things might change. The galaxy now knows what we are. They know that every human walking around is built like a soldier, even if we do not act like one. Thought about this, is that a bad thing? I do not know, admitted. Some will fear us more. Others might respect us more. Some might want to study us, ally with us, or keep us far away from their borders. But at least now they understand. At least now they will not mistake our civilians for weapons and lock them in medical bays. Laughed weakly. It was not really funny, but he laughed anyway. When he walked out of the medical bay, he found Officer waiting in the corridor. The gray alien's face was stiff, his posture rigid. He looked like someone who had swallowed something bitter and was trying not to show it. Human said. Officer replied. They stood there for a moment, neither speaking, then made a sound that might have been a sigh. I was wrong about you, he said. The words came out slowly, like each one cost him something. I thought you were a threat, a weapon designed to infiltrate and destroy. I thought you were the first wave of some kind of invasion. I am just a cargo pilot, said. I know that now. Looked away, his small eyes focusing on something in the distance. But the fact that you are just a cargo pilot, that is what frightens me most. If an ordinary human is this formidable, what are your extraordinary ones like? Did not have an answer. He had never thought of himself as formidable. He still did not, even after everything he had learned. "I will go home now," he said. "I will fly ships and visit my mother and live a quiet life. I am not going to hurt anyone." "I believe you," said, "but others might not. Your species has been underestimated for too long. Now that the truth is known, some will want to act before humans become a greater power. There are those in the galaxy who destroy threats before they can grow." "Is that a warning?" "It is information," turned and walked away without another word. Watched him go, feeling the cold weight of those words settle in his chest. He had come to space for adventure and good pay. He had almost died in a debris field and had been imprisoned by aliens who thought he was a living weapon. And now he was being told that his entire species might be in danger because they were too good at not dying. It was a lot to process for a cargo pilot from Seoul. Arranged transport back to Earth territory on a passenger vessel. The journey would take 3 weeks, plenty of time to think about everything that had happened. On his first night aboard, he stood in the observation deck, watching the stars slide past the windows. They looked the same as they always had, cold and bright and impossibly far away. But saw them differently now. Each star might have worlds around it. Each world might have species living on it. And those species might look at humans and see monsters, weapons, threats to be feared and controlled. Or maybe they would see something else. Survivors, fighters, beings who had clawed their way up from through sheer stubbornness and refused to stop. Did not know which view was correct. Maybe both were true. Maybe humans were both frightening and admirable, dangerous and wonderful all at the same time. He thought about his mother back in Seoul. She was a small woman, barely reaching his shoulder, with gentle hands and a soft voice. She had raised him alone after his father died. She had worked long hours and sacrificed everything to give him a good life. By galactic standards, she was probably just as terrifying as he was. Her bones just as dense, her cells just as aggressive, her body just as miraculous. The thought made him smile. When the ship finally reached Earth space, felt something strange in his chest. Pride, maybe, or gratitude. He was going home to a world that had spent 4 billion years trying to kill his ancestors. A world that had forged them into something the galaxy could not understand. He was going home to a species that did not know how special it was, that walked around in bodies built for survival and thought it was perfectly normal. Stepped off the ship and breathed the recycled air of the station. Somewhere below him, through layers of metal and glass, was Earth, his beautiful, terrifying, deadly home. He smiled and started walking. There was a call to make, an insurance claim to file, and a life to rebuild. And maybe, somewhere along the way, he would learn what it really meant to be human in a galaxy that had finally noticed them. The stars would be watching now, but was not afraid. After all, his species had survived worse things than alien attention. They had survived Earth. Everything else was easy.